Hi witches! Happy Valentine's Day if you are watching this on Monday the 14th. But today we are going to be chatting all about the upcoming full moon that is happening on Wednesday, February 16th, and that is the full snow moon. Now, before I begin, I just want to say a super huge thank you to my patrons who have recently joined. I am so excited. So super huge thank you to Riley, Olive, and Hannah. And I can't remember if I shouted you guys out before, but if I did already, I'm sorry. If I didn't before, I'm sorry. But Emrys the Witch and Tori as well, thank you so much. My brain is not a steel trap sometimes, so apologies if I did not shout you out before, but I try to shout out all my patrons as soon as I see that they have joined. So again, thank you so much, super huge thank you. I am going to be having a live ritual for my patrons only, and that is for all patrons at any level. So I do live full moon and new moon ritual twice a month, and I will always post the ritual afterwards in case you can't quite make it to the live time. I try to do them at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It just works best for me. But yes, that will definitely be happening on the 16th, and I can't wait to see you guys there, so yes. Now, the full snow moon falls, like I have been saying, on February 16th, and falls in the sign of Leo, the lion. The sign of the moon is always going to be the opposite of the sun sign we're in, so currently we are in Aquarius season. Hello to all of my wonderful Aquarian peoples who watch me, hello. We have our Aquarius sun sign, our Aquarius season, and Aquarius new moon that we just celebrated about 2 weeks ago. Now we're going to be kind of working with the opposite energy of the full moon, that Leo full moon. So I'm going to get into it a little bit, don't worry. This moon is also called the quickening moon, the hunger moon, the ice moon, and the bald eagle moon. I've linked some resources for the traditional names. A lot of these names, and I don't know that a lot of people know this, but they come from actually like Native American tradition, and they were slowly integrated when settlers came across the ocean and colonized the United States. But we did end up integrating those moon names, and that is actually something that is featured in the Farmer's Almanac, which is a non-witchy book. So I encourage you to educate yourself on this and understand where the names for these moons come from, especially if you are an American living on Indigenous land. We are still really riding that Imbolc energy that we raised about 2 weeks ago during our kind of new moon ceremony as well. And our workings were all about new beginnings, creativity, transformation, reflection, and ambition. A lot of those themes are going to be really great to incorporate into your workings during the full moon. So a lot of the stuff that we were doing on Imbolc, we're still kind of carrying over into the full moon. If you would like to focus on something else, of course that is a-okay. The full moon is also just a really great time to celebrate everything you have accomplished. It can either be from the beginning of the year or just like so far in general. So a lot of my focus for full moons is that aspect of celebration, because you guys have been working hard. We are like halfway through February, which is crazy. Oh my gosh, I can't believe it. Time is going too fast, and I'm like, ugh. Looking back, even on the last about 6 weeks, I feel like I've actually done quite a bit, like for myself and for like getting myself organized. It may not look like a lot right now, but it's good to remember that we're still kind of in that winter season. I just hit my plant, sorry. We're still in that winter season where the energy is still kind of slow. We are seeing that beginning of reawakening, and I know last week I had like a day where I like fervently cleaned my house. Like you could not stop me. Like there was like, it was crazy. So I got a lot of my spring cleaning done already. But I'm definitely feeling that surgence or that resurgence of energy myself. And that is something that we can definitely bring into our full moon rituals for the full snow moon. Now, if you are looking to set up an altar, one of my favorite topics ever, as you guys know, consider using some of the same colors that you used during Imbolc. I'm actually using several of the candles that I used in my Imbolc ritual to carry that same energy onto into the full moon. So generally speaking, when I do practice and celebrate the holidays, I will celebrate the holidays for a very long time. I just really enjoy the energy of each of the holidays, and I love celebrating. So it'll be like little things each day that I do in order to kind of celebrate, to carry forth that energy into my own personal practice. So right now I'm really focusing on like getting myself settled, getting myself ready for springtime, and doing that foundational work that I need to do. So that's kind of the energy. But again, Imbolc energy, if you guys want to watch the video about it, I have a video about it, but as a like TLDR, it's basically all about rebirth, cleansing, and moving forward. Some common colors to use for your altar include light greens, light pinks, light yellows, light blues, so anything kind of associated with spring, those really, really bright pastel colors, as well as white and black. So those are some of the colors that I used for my Imbolc altar. This moon, you could also, I really like the color lavender. I feel like that is kind of in that vein of things. So anything like pastel is what I would use, but really still focusing on like white and silver for that energy of winter, if that is something that you are interested in incorporating. I recommend including crystals like amethyst, garnet, rose quartz, citrine, moonstone, and again, moonstone and opalite are often mislabeled, so just be careful when you are in metaphysical stores and look up the difference between opalite and moonstone. It does look very different. Clear quartz, any sort of light blue stone you might want to use. I'm not a huge fan of turquoise, though I know a lot of people are, and feel free to use that as well. It kind of reminds me of like a robin's egg, so maybe like I feel like I associate that more with Ostara, but that is completely up to you. Some herbs you might want to use or include in any of your workings or on your altar include bay, cinnamon, chamomile, lemon, rose, apple, strawberry, daisy, jasmine, and gardenia, anything really associated with love, with creativity. I also recommend very cleansing herbs such as rosemary, common sage, and I use frankincense a lot to cleanse my house. So those are just some suggestions from me, but focusing on cleansing your house I think is going to be a very major theme for a lot of witches during this specific full moon. It's kind of like, again, carrying on that Imbolc energy and getting our houses and our spaces ready for spring. Now, for any kitchen witches who would like to celebrate the full moon by baking something or making something wonderful in the kitchen, any of the foods that you would have made on Imbolc are also really good for this full moon. So again, that association with like dairy, seeded breads is also like very much associated with this full moon, if you can think of the seeds as planting your seeds of intention. But literally anything that you make, as always, is going to be wonderful. I'm making like a very spicy ramen to help like fuel my creativity, so like that's the way I'm going. But whatever you do in the kitchen is wonderful. Again, Imbolc foods are also very common around this time. So yes, be creative. I would love to see what you guys make. So now that we've talked about how you can decorate and some ways you can celebrate, let's talk about some workings that you can do, some energetic things that you can do. The first major theme of this moon is self-reflection. So I know a lot of us probably started like our New Year's resolutions and maybe they weren't as sustainable as perhaps we first thought. So during this full moon, it's a really good time to kind of look back and see the things that you've done over the last month, maybe 6 weeks, looking back to the beginning of the year, and figure out what really, really works for you and what just does not or is unsustainable and needs to be tweaked in order to make it fit with your life the best. If routines and schedules aren't necessarily your thing, but you still want to pause and do some self-reflection, maybe consider making like a vision board. I generally recommend doing that during the new moon because that's when we are really planting our intentions, but sometimes it is good to create something and maybe charge it under the full moon as like a vision board to remind you what you're working towards and what goals you would like to achieve. So that way sometimes like a visual cue is just really helpful, but that is completely up to you. It's an activity that one could do. I really love vision boards and mood boards as like an artsy person, so you know. Moving right along, any sort of workings that have to do with creativity, sparking creativity, or inspiration are very popular to do during this moon. During our live ritual, we are going to be making a creativity spell jar. So I've posted all of the ingredients for that over on Patreon if you haven't seen it yet. And it is completely optional. It's just part of the ritual, and I thought it would be really fun to do together with my patrons. So that is something that we'll be working on. Another type of working is any sort of self-love working. So we are celebrating it right around Valentine's Day. I feel like we are also still in that very like reflective part of the year. So we're still kind of doing that internal work. Now, a lot of us may have been already doing that sort of shadow work, that internal work, and maybe starting from Samhain, as is traditional, though if you didn't, that is a-okay as well. But kind of finishing up that shadow work and coming into a place of self-acceptance and self-love before coming into the spring when we are kind of our most active. Just really punctuating that with this full moon might be a good idea, especially if you are kind of on that self-love, self-care journey. Next, I want to talk about raising energy. So around this time, around Imbolc, we are starting to see that potential of the soil beneath us, that fertile potential for life to spring forth, right? And that same energy we can pick up on, right? These days I'm feeling a lot more creative. I'm feeling like I want to go out and garden and do things outside. Days are longer and it is warmer outside. Technically, I know it's not gonna stick around. It was literally snowing this morning, but it's just very motivating. And raising that energy in your space and your house is wonderful as well. You can do this through sound cleansing, through just opening up all the windows, through cleaning, through a lot of different methods. So I recommend picking one that works best for you and raising some energy and bringing some of that good energy into your house. Hell yeah, hell yeah. This full moon is also a really good time to focus on connecting back to nature. So some of us, myself included, might feel very disconnected from the earth and the planet right now. It is dead, it is devoid of life. There are kind of the inklings of spring around, but we've been pretty much in the darkness for a couple months now, right? As we enter into spring, as we have hit the midpoint of winter and are moving forward, it's time to start getting back to the land and to start to really reconnect our energies with the planet around us. It is about to be super duper abundant, and there is so much that we can learn and gain from our planet. If you haven't been outside, or maybe like just even gone for like a small walk around the block, take some time during either the full moon or maybe the weekend after, just take some time to wander and explore your wonderful, amazing planet and really connect back with the earth on that kind of spiritual level. Next, any workings that have to do with transformation and rebirth are very much popular around this time. We have those themes present in Inbuilt as well. So that kind of coming out of the darkness and into the light, that is very much celebrated and held in high esteem, I would say, around this time of year as well. So if that is something that you have been working on, the full moon is also a really great time to kind of stand in that full power of your transformation. At least doing some self-reflection and considering what that level of transformation looks like for you and where you would like to be by this time in the next lunar cycle. Now, finally, because this moon is in the sign of Leo, we have a lot of emphasis on kind of that glamour magic, self-confidence, and sex magic. So I know that is kind of a spicy little topic there. I have spoken about those. I'm not going to go into super big detail here because it's a whole video in and of itself. Full moons are really great in adding kind of extra power to manifestations, and when used in conjunction with especially sex magic, they can be very, very potent, very powerful. So if that is something that you are interested in exploring, this might be a good a good full moon to at least broach that topic if it is something that you have been interested in for a while. If you have questions, you can let me know, but I will not be giving advice to anyone underage. In terms of like the astrology aspect of our full moon, we talked about the new moon being in Aquarius, right? And that urged us towards accepting our authenticity and living in a more authentic way. Maybe we're taking our first steps now, but it's time to start thinking about what makes you feel like the most confident. Think about Leo. Leo is all about being kind of the king of the jungle, right? He is the lion. He is very proud and very confident in himself or herself or themselves. This month we had Inbuilt, we had that time of transformation. We had that Aquarius new moon right around the same time that encouraged us to live in our truth and live as our most like authentic selves. I know I keep saying that, but now towards the tail or the middle of the month, the full moon is like then empowering us to be confident and to take on that Leo energy in living our authentic truth. So maybe it is time to get a new haircut or start establishing some boundaries. Maybe it is time to start living the way that you want to be living your life. So if there are any workings that would aid you in that, think about what you need. You could be listening to me talk all about like reflection and creativity and self-love and all of that stuff, but if you really need tranquility and some peace right now, perhaps that is the thing that you work on for this moon. So as always, your practice is your own. I want to thank you guys so much for being here with me. If you would like to, all patron stuff, it's all over on Patreon if you would like to join us for the full moon ritual. So that is my little spiel about the moon. Let me know if you have any further questions. And patrons, I will see you guys on Wednesday for our live virtual new moon ritual. All right, I'll see you guys later. Bye.